You got your little squad ready to go.
Squads,
The
squad up.
WiscWeb army. They smashed that sub button,
They
dude.
smashed that sub and liked.
So much engagement.
It's almost as if our clients want to engage.
Whoa.
Audio,
Is it showing up for you?
excellent, excellent connection.
Nice, nice. When you go live on YouTube, can you like start the stream before you hit start on YouTube and see all that stuff?
Kind of, but maybe we'd have to look at it. I don't know for sure. Because like you can get a preview
Yeah.
of what it's looking like, but I don't know if you can actually like see it before you're fully
Yeah.
live. Okay. So that's what people are seeing. Okay. Pull this over here. Oh my, the scene worked. Okay. Seems pretty there's not much delay between this and the stream.
Are you doing like the ultra low latency one again?
Yeah. My keyboard is coming through really loudly on the stream.
Just don't type easy.
You get a mechanical keyboard.
No.
Just a regular keyboard, huh?
Yeah, just a regular, really loud keyboard.
Huh. So I know mechanicals come through loud and
Oh,
clear.
I know. I play games with people who have mechanical keyboards, and it drives me up a wall.
Yeah, I have a mechanical. I have an optomechanical keyboard.
You would drive me up a wall.
I try to stay muted though.
You can hear the actions per minute though.
That's right. I can I can hear
Actions
you
per
slamming
second.
that WASD.
Yep. It's on the WiscWeb YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yes.
Is this an unlisted video?
It is an unlisted video.
Oh. I think the ones that I've seen in the past, they were public.
Um, hmm.
Yeah, could you share the link to it in WiscWeb general or not general, internal?
I did just make it public, but I
Oh,
can.
okay, cool. No, that's fine. I can find it from that. Thanks
There.
anyway.
I did it anyway. That's really gonna bug me. Hearing my keyboard typing. Also, that means my mic gain is pretty good.
You
It'll
and
be
Scott
fun.
should put heads together and figure out a microphone situation.
Oh,
I need a Yeti or like a nice
nah,
little
Yeti
mic.
suck.
With a nice windscreen.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Just talk to Al. He's got a nice mic.
Does he? Jonathan put together like a bunch of
One.
stuff.
Just get one that goes like right next to your mouth. What? That's how you do it.
I need it
If
on
you get
my.
the, if you get the
Uh,
ones that go like 6 inches away, it's like top quality, and then you don't get all the background noise because that's a directional mic.
I see what you're saying.
You watch podcast videos, they have those obnoxiously big mics that are like right in front of their mouth.
Yeah. Streamers have a lot of those too.
Oh, I hate when streamers do it. If you're, it's one of my pet peeves when people have giant mic setups, but they also are recording themselves because then it's like at least try and make it like look nice. Have like giant cranes holding up their mics in the frame, and it takes up like half of it, and it's like that is just garbage looking. Try harder.
And I don't have a problem with it.
I do.
I like it if it's a nice setup, but if people are just like slapping it wherever, yeah, that bothers me.
I just feel like one of the things where I like my mic on my headset is I don't like a lot of things in my field of view. And so like having like a Yeti mic or something, it would have to be really low to not be in like my field of view whenever I'm like doing work, playing games, anything like that.
I have a little arm that I have to the left of my monitor, and then it does cover up my left monitor mostly, but
Uh, See, that would bug me.
I put Discord on it, and I don't like use it that often, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it's
Sure.
if my mic is down and I'm talking to other people in Discord, which means I'm probably not going to be typing
Yeah.
or streaming. So like, yeah.
Okay, I think I've got everything ret to go. I am committing the uh, sin that I always make fun of in training. I have one, two, three. I have like 13 tabs open.
Oh my gosh, I always have a ton of tabs open.
I lose everything.
I keep them open until I get done with the thing I have to do.
Yeah, I have like 20 open and like 3 different Chrome windows.
Yeah, especially if we have to do testing and there's like incognito windows involved.
Oh yeah.
I have 9 windows open right now.
Oh
I don't know
god.
how many tabs. Should talk to Phil. Well,
Oh yeah, Phil's tab.
admin windows.
Phil's the, yeah,
He's the tab
he
master.
is.
His tabs get so small that you can barely see the slide icon.
And he's got his various like displays as well.
I get overwhelmed at that point. If I get too many, I just close them all and start over because I can just like, I don't know. At that point, it's just not helpful.
Oh yeah, yesterday I was working on something and got to the point where I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm working on, I can't deal with these tabs the way they're all scrunched up like this. So I selected the tabs that I wanted and moved them to a new window.
Yep. Wait, can you do that? Is there like an easy way to like multi-select tabs and make a new window? Or do you just have to make a new window and drag them all manually?
Just command and then click each tab that you want, then right click, and then move tab to another window, new window.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh my god.
My God.
It's a
That's
thing.
amazing. That's like productivity boosting to the max. Holy crap.
How have I never known about this?
Yeah, no, I always just like clicked and dragged individually where I'd start like a new window. That's like god tier.
Yeah, that's been in Chrome for a little while. I don't know when it was introduced, but I'm glad they did.
True.
Firefox has something similar.
Yeah, Firefox it's the same thing. You just hold down Control, right click on them, move tabs, move to new window.
Yep. Yeah, at home I use Firefox as my default browser. I use Chrome because of development work.
So I have the I have the stream going in my phone so that I can monitor the quality, and I got a phone call. And so once it finished, it kicked back to the stream, and the stream was delayed, so it automatically like paused the stream. And so then I had to kick it back to live so that I was listening to what we were doing. I'm very concerned about the quality this time around. Although I'm not hearing any issues on my end. Oh, I suppose I could put this in the Teams chat as well. WiscWeb, Open Labs, General. There we go. I can hear myself typing.
You really hate that, don't you?
It really bugs me to hear that. Let's see. The YouTube channel is showing 27 concurrent viewers. So, hello, folks. You've listened to us talk about our stuff. So I guess we'll get started with this just to be, conscious of time. I don't know how long this conversation could go. It could go long, could go short, but I want to make sure that we give time for questions, especially for some of these topics that we're going to get into. So my name is Matt Goins. I am, for those of you who don't know who I am the trainer with the WiscWeb team, also do things like communications, support, and general entertainment. I also have a few other folks from the WiscWeb team on the line with me. They'll pop in if necessary. The voice that you'll probably hear the most throughout this is Jenna Klinner, who's essentially, not essentially, she is our, I don't know what the official title is. She is our product owner? Product owner?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Service coordinator.
Service coordinator. Thank you. Couldn't think of the right word. So she's the one who kind of guides us along this ship. So this is our monthly lunch and learn. This is just our ability for the team to kind of just deliver some information and updates from our service standpoint and get a little bit of feedback from you as well, as you see fit. There's the chat that you can type in over there. Jenna's really good about answering that, and I'm also monitoring it as well so that we can kind of answer things as we go on the fly. So our general agenda, our general rundown for this afternoon. This is kind of what we're going to talk about here. The first one there being the most pertinent one that I want to talk about today, although we do have some other pretty relevant updates as we go down the line, but this is the one that has been, I guess, consuming our thoughts over the last several months, and that is how to handle what is considered sensitive and restricted data within the WiscWeb service and within our databases. And so to kind of give you an idea, we have a knowledge base document now which walks through what our policy is. And essentially, our policy is do not host sensitive or restricted data within your sites. And a lot of that is collected via Gravity forms, via the forms that you create. And there's all kinds of examples here in this particular document that talks through what is considered sensitive, what is considered restricted. The IT, sorry, not the IT, the cybersecurity folks also put together a knowledge base document that has a lot of the similar information, but also talks about the campus policy, not just our WiscWeb policy, but also the campus-wide policy in regards to sensitive or restricted data. The one that we always get tripped up on the most is requesting employee and student ID numbers. So student ID numbers is the one that we see a lot of Gravity forms request, because you want to somehow identify one John Smith from another John Smith, or one Matt Goins from another Matt Goins, and you use the campus ID to help with that. This is considered a sensitive or restricted data item, and so it is something that we don't want you to be collecting via Gravity forms. I don't really know a nicer way to put that other than don't. And honestly, this is one of the things that we have struggled with a lot, is trying to convey the importance, or trying to convey the necessity for this type of policy. And I guess this will kind of play into what this topic is going to be. But essentially, WiscWeb is not a, how do I put this? It is secure, but it's not secure from the standpoint of locked down. So anyone can get access to a WiscWeb site so long as you are added to that site via your NetID. Subsequently, if you are added to that site via your NetID, you now have access to, if you're an administrator, you have access to the content that those forms are collecting, which means they have access to this information that is being requested. You can have students as administrators. You can have campus individuals, faculty, staff as administrators. You can have people who are guests who have a temporary NetID as an administrator to your site. And that makes this data not secure. And while it hasn't happened, I will never rule out the possibility. We have never had a data breach with WiscWeb, but it's still a concern just in the fact that we live in this technology world. And so collecting this information, keeping this information, puts those people's information at risk if it's kept within our servers, within our databases. And so that's kind of the weight of why we are pushing back against the collection of this information and getting in touch with people and identifying that this is something that you need to be aware of. So the KB doc that we have does kind of talk about this process. I don't think there's, Jenna, do we have somewhere that talks through what can be done to meet
In terms
these
of like,
needs?
if you find it,
No. If you need to have sensitive data.
oh, like alternative options.
Yes, thank you.
I think that's something being worked on at a higher level, but
Okay.
what we would do is put you in touch with cybersecurity, and then they would work through that with you.
Yeah. But there are some options out there, but again, we don't have the specifics of what you can do with that right now. Essentially, collect it, delete it. That would be what we would want you to do right now. If you are collecting it, remove it.
I would say get in touch with us. We'll walk through the process with you. There are alternative options that exist, such as hosting on a secure web hosting account. And there are other services within DoIT that can host the
Yep.
secure data.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking about if there was a document that walked through those options yet. So, but yes, get in touch with us. Get in touch with cybersecurity. We can try to assist you as best we can. Sorry, I'm losing where I am right now. There we go. Okay. So that's really the key topic that we wanted to hit on right away within this. And Ellen Clark just chatted in there. So Ellen's with the registrar's office. Registrar's office has to collect a lot of different pieces of information, and it is something that we've worked with them on to try and come to a happy medium, essentially, with the data that they need versus the data that we can safely store on our servers. A lot of you don't have the same needs that at the level of the registrar's office has, or like grad school or something like that. And like I said, I wanted to point out the student ID number is the biggest culprit that I see, and it's really just because you're in the conversations I've had with folks, they're collecting it to help easily identify who a particular student is if they have to look them up within the system for that purpose. So,
and I believe that that might be something that we would work with cybersecurity on as well. So if you are prompting for that, depending on the other information that's in, they might determine that it's okay, but we would want to investigate that in any case.
Yeah. Okay, so if there are any questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat, and I will have, hopefully Jenna will be able to answer that as we're going through, but I'll just kind of keep plugging away at what the agenda is. But I know that this is a key topic that we wanted to touch on. It's not something that I assume everybody's just going to consume and like run back and start looking at all their forms and things like that, but just put it in your mind that take a look at, as you're creating forms, as you're collecting data through those forms, what is that data? Is it something that could be used to identify a person or identify something about that particular person that would be considered sensitive information? Another one that came in recently was HIPAA information, like asking for particular pieces of information through a form, and is it are our forms, HIPAA secure? No, they're not. They don't meet the requirements of like HIPAA data collection as well. So there's different ways that you can meet that need as well. Like if you put a text block in that says, tell us a little bit about yourself, you might want to put in there a little note that says, please don't put in any personal health or medical information, etc. Just to make sure, one, you can never ensure that what a person is putting into your form is exactly what it is that you're looking for or wanting. But then at the same time, you really do cover the fact that you don't want this information entered. Please don't enter this information. So there. Okay, so moving on to the next one, and again, this is kind of leading into what I was saying earlier. We're heading into the fall semester. I've been having a lot of conversations with folks over the past few weeks just about like, we've got new editors, a lot of training. Can you show us how to do this thing? We'd like to refresh our site and things like that. So it's a good time to start thinking about that fall cleanup of your site in general, but not just what people see, but also what's on the inside. So obviously, it's been a weird year. And it's still going to be kind of weird for the foreseeable future. So make sure that your site content reflects what is happening not only on campus as a whole, but also what's happening for your programs, your departments, your labs, whatever it might be. Make sure that the information is fresh and up to date for what students, parents, researchers, whoever it might be, needs to know, so that everybody knows what to expect as we start to head into the next month, 2 months, 3 months, etc. So that's the public-facing side of things. But on the internal side of things, every time I send out a WiscWeb users group email, I get several emails back that say, I'm no longer an editor, can you remove me? I'm no longer with the UW, can you remove me? Please go into for those of you who are administrators or site owners, go into your users list right over here and look at who should and should not have access to your site. And you can just remove them by clicking on remove right there. Because like we were talking about with the security aspect of it, if a person is still added to your site and they no longer work for your department, lab, program, whatever it might be, they still have access to this editing environment. And so they could still log in. And I don't want to assume that somebody would do something wrong or inappropriate, but close that door regardless. Remove them from the site if they do not need to have access to the site anymore. And then subsequently, I'll talk about how you can add new users. I get this question still quite a bit. And how do you add new users to your site? We'll talk about that in a second. So just get rid of any unneeded admins and editors. I'm perfectly okay with dealing with the folks who email me and tell me they don't want to be on the email list anymore. But just because they ask me to get removed from the email list doesn't mean they get removed from your site. So make sure that you are managing the users of your site. And then lastly, one that I have seen several times is a number of items in the media library that just are continuing to be added, like the same picture 3 or 4 times because they can't find it in the media library. Because your media library I always joke that the media library becomes like your attic or your basement. You just kind of start throwing things in there, and suddenly you don't realize what you have in there. So just give your media library a once over. See what's being used. See what's not being used. Delete the things that aren't being used. It's one less thing for you to have to scroll through when you're trying to find that particular image that you want to put on a page or put on a post or something of that nature. So, give that a look-see as well. I won't say it's not as blunt as we don't care how much stuff you put into your media library. It's just the fact that um, uh, it's harder on you to manage that stuff. And yes, we missed that as well, Michael. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to touch on with fall cleanup. But basically, these were the three things as I was thinking about the topic itself. Making sure that your content's up to date with what's going on the campus, getting rid of anybody who shouldn't have access to the editing environment of your site, and then take a look at your media library and remove any of the unneeded stuff in there. I guess the other thing that I would encourage, and this is something that has been surprising to me as I've been having more conversations with folks, is from the standpoint of content removal or content updating and things like that, please make sure that you are using Google Analytics to take a look at where people are going within your site and getting an idea of whether or not the content that you have put out there is actually meeting the need that you expected it to meet. How long are people staying on pages? How often are people visiting a particular page? I joke in the training often that, just because a person tells you that, yes, this page is going to be important, it doesn't mean that the users are actually going to get there. So if they're not getting there and somebody thinks it's important, how can you get them there? So that's a good way for you to also take a look at like what content needs to be refreshed or not refreshed. Okay, so that's that. We've got lots of conversation going on in the chat, which I'm very happy to see as well. So some recent updates and some upcoming updates. This one is not so recent. It's been around for quite a while, but I just want to remind folks that you now have the ability to add users to your site by using the net ID of that particular user. And so to do that, you would just hover over the users and click add by net ID. And then once you're in there, you just put in their net ID. You give them the role that you want them to have. Remember, administrator is needed if you want them to have access to plugins. And then you just click add user. And what it does is it adds them to your site as the role that you are selecting. The other thing is that it also adds them to the WiscWeb site as a subscriber so that they have the ability to log in and access your site through wiscweb.wis.edu and the login button in the upper right. So that's that one. The other thing is we recently kicked off the ability for you to turn on or off certain plugins within your site. So if I go back to plugins, this one will take a little bit because it's got to load quite a bit of information. But what we did was we created the ability for you to activate or deactivate particular plugins that are really most often used, and that is data tables, gravity forms, events calendar. Can't remember the other one that we have on there. We'll see in a second. The redirect, if you needed to create any redirects for your site. Redirect is nice. We've gotten a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks for me specifically about just, Google searches are showing one thing, but we really don't want them going to that page because it's deleted or it's been replaced by something else. Google's not always the best for crawling your site and always getting that information up to date. So redirection's nice just from a standpoint of you can point one URL at another within your site if necessary. I wouldn't overuse it, but we have seen that come up a few times. But to activate a plugin, you just simply click on the activate button and it will turn it on for you, and then you'll see the ability over here on the left in your menu area to do that. So these are a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. One more actually popped into my brain as I was chatting with the team beforehand, and that is, if I can bring up our knowledge base. Scott, one of our developers, has been very busy over the summer trying to add some functionality that was lost when we did a particular update a while ago, which is the ability to embed certain types of content on a page. And so we have subsequently added back in the ability to embed things like a Google form, a Google Calendar, Google Map is in here as well. Let's see, embed. Do I just do embed? Let's try embed. There are many that I cannot remember. Tableau, for those of you who use the Campus Tableau tool. I don't really know what to call it there. Scott, is Qualtrics yet activated?
Planning on pushing that out later today. Hopefully.
I couldn't remember if that one had got pushed out. So Qualtrics, embedding a Qualtrics survey, and we'll have to put a KB doc together for that as well. But we added these things back in because people use a lot of different things for a lot of different reasons, and so we added these things back in to, I guess, to a certain extent, safely embed this content. One of the reasons why it was taken away long ago was because a lot of the code that was used was considered unsecure. It's insecure code. And so this way we can allow you to do these things, but we can kind of control the content that's coming through, the data that's coming through there. Tara, that's a good question. I don't know if it's there's this uploaded to value over here. I don't know if it always grabs all of our page elements. So some page elements might not reflect the fact that it is actually existing within a particular content item. So a text block is the one that I'm thinking of because it's not actually like, yeah, as Phil said, it's complicated about the usage. So like if it's being used in a hero image, a faculty staff image, an image page element, something of that nature, yes, it will show over here. But if it's being used in like a text block, that's the one where I'm not certain if it will reflect that it's, you know, in one of those particular media or page element areas. So. Good question, but as Phil put in there, it's complicated. Yeah. Okay. So another one that will likely disappoint and frustrate, but you know, I'll kind of go over it. So from a standpoint of our service, one of the things that in the past we had the ability to do is provide an ability for you to request customization updates, you know, lots of different things to change the functionality of a site within WiscWeb, look, feel, do some different things with it. We face the same issue that really everyone faces on campus, and that is a whole lot of work to do and not enough people to throw at that work, or not enough hours in the day to throw at that work. And so we have had to pull back a lot of our customization ability to basically be basic customization requests that are I mean, quote unquote, quick and easy to do. Um, and so if you have, and I'll get to the page where it talks about the customizations that we are able to do right now, but you can request customizations through our customer support form. And if you choose customization request on there, below there is a documentation on our in our site that talks about customizing your site. And so here is basically all of what you can do. You can update the logo, but there are some requirements that go into updating that logo. It has to be a particular size. You can recolor the site. So a lot of times you may have we've dealt with like a lot of labs that are building a website based on grants, but you want to differentiate from campus because of whatever reason the grant says. We've done some color changes for sites to accommodate that, and then also changing the font. The default font for the UW theme is Verlog. People want to change it to a different font. You can request that if you would like, within reason, please, because we want to make sure that we attend to usability and accessibility when it comes to font choices as well. And I have seen plenty of fonts out there used on sites that are not very usable. So just be aware of that. It is noted in the parentheses there that if you change the logo, the font has to also be changed, because this is just a part of the UW theme and the use of the Verlog font. So if you are changing the logo, essentially you are changing it from a UW branded site, and therefore the branding cannot be applied to it, which the font is part of that branding. There's all that information on here, and then at the very bottom right we have the form that you would fill out for these customization requests. And again, I'm very aware of the fact that this would disappoint folks, because you have ideas that you want to put into play for your site moving forward. You have changes that you've been planning on for a while. We don't have the time or people to put at those types of customizations. It takes a long time to code it, to test it, and then after the fact, it takes a lot of time on our end to make sure that any changes that are done to the UW theme that are done via our plugins, we have to make sure that we're testing those customizations out, and it really does become an overwhelming thing at times. So, I'm sorry, but it's unfortunately the way that we have to change up the service right now. We would hope that this could change in the future, but at the moment, this is where we live. So, trying to think. In here with this, I'm going to talk about this. It's not in the agenda, but I'll still touch on it. Some more updates that are coming. I did put in upcoming updates, but I also wanted to touch on the fact that at the moment we are testing WordPress 5.5 being updated on our servers. We have that currently implemented on our test servers, so we're going to start taking some swings at that to make sure that it works okay. There's nothing really significant on your end as site editors that you would have to worry about. There's some things that we need to look at from our standpoint. 5.5 introduces some things like automated plugin updates. We don't know if we want plugins updating right away when we haven't had a chance to test them out. There's some image loading processes that are involved with 5.5 that we want to take a look at, because that could be something that we want to really highlight to help with site performance. And then there were a couple of other things that are related to WordPress default, the Gutenberg editor, for those of you who are familiar with WordPress in its base nature, that we don't use because we disable the Gutenberg editor within the UW theme. So it's not really going to affect us, but it might affect other users of the UW theme who don't host with WiscWeb, but still have access to the Gutenberg editor. 5.5 has some updates there as well. So we're going to take some looks at that, and that should be something that we hopefully will update within the next week or two once we've had a chance to really test it out. We're also starting to test and implement some plugin updates. So usually what we do is we start with the smaller plugins first, the ones that are not nearly as beefy as the big three, but we will eventually get around to updating Events Calendar, WP Data Tables, and Gravity Forms as needed. I know that Data Tables has one out there that we want to update to, and I haven't looked at whether Gravity Forms and Events Calendar have updates that we have to address, but I just want to touch on that as well. You'll be seeing some communications from us hopefully in the next few weeks about those updates happening as well. And again, hopefully none of it significantly affects you as site editors and managers, because it will be smooth and seamless. Okay. So, moving into the next little section right there, the upcoming training plans. One of the things that we have really lost in the fact that we're not on campus anymore is we don't really have the trainings anymore. I can't really deliver that in-person training that I did in the past. And so with that, one of the things that I did, and I usually send this out whenever people get in touch with me, and they say, I'm new and I need to learn how to use this. I created 3 training videos. So underneath the training page at WiscWeb and under the beginners training videos, I basically broke up that training into 3 videos. You lose the hands-on aspect of it that you got in class, but you can still use this to kind of learn. For those of you who are bringing on new editors or new, or you just haven't tinkered with it in a long time and now you're getting back at it, the training videos are basically what you'd get if you came and sat down in class. The idea also is that I have several other training videos that exist in Kaltura at the moment that I am also going to put out here to I guess just to provide you with some more information. So Gravity Forms is one. Google Analytics I have out there. I have a training video on using Photoshop to edit images to help make them a little more optimized for the page elements that you put them in. So I've got that out there. So I'm going to expand on this training resources area just to, again, meet the needs of people at a distance there. My other thought is, and this is something that I would, I guess, solicit from all of you who are, a lot of you who attend these lunch and learns are like, we've known each other for a while now. If there are things that you're looking to learn how to do, or things that you have seen other sites do that you're interested in learning how to do, let me know so that I can use that as another opportunity to teach you all as a whole. So a couple of training things that I'm looking at doing this fall are creating more visual navigation. Instead of using these big drop-down menus up here, trying to use things on page to generate navigation into your site, and maybe more visual appeal. Let me just bring up my OneNote since I've got it here. So visual options, more forms stuff. So I've seen a lot of people doing some interesting things with forms. Creating data tables off of forms, using forms to create posts within your site. There are some other ones that I wanted to touch on in there as well. More stuff with data tables. Again, I've seen some people doing some interesting things with data tables, with like filtering and hiding and showing columns, and data charts, trying to show people how to use this stuff to create data charts as well. more Google Analytics. I think everybody, myself included, would benefit from just kind of looking at, tinkering with, and learning about more Google Analytics stuff. There's a lot of information in there that I don't always understand, and so I would like to learn more and kind of learn more with you as we are kind of poking at some of these questions. And then the last one here is one of the things that I have noticed as I've been working with folks over the last couple of months is accessibility. Thinking about accessibility, building for accessibility, and making it a more important aspect of your site content. It's something that has been, I think, overlooked quite a bit. And the easy culprit is there are a number of content editors who do not use alt text for their images, and that's a no good. So please make sure you're addressing that. But again, I'm just doing a little bit of training with, so I have Paulina in there. For those of you who remember, Paulina Nogal is one of our developers. She worked with Sandy Arundel-Kowski, who works out of the user experience and accessibility group out of academic technology. They created a lot of content that they had delivered to the campus before we had to leave. I would just like to tap into some of that and deliver it to all of you as well. And then we have David Nyos, who is a developer on our team now, who also has worked a bit with accessibility that I want to kind of, I guess to put it, turn him loose upon this topic as well, to just let him kind of talk about what he does, what he thinks about, and how he addresses accessibility. David, you're on the spot now. So that's just some of the upcoming things that I would like to do, just to provide you guys with some more content for learning, thinking about user experience, thinking about how you deliver your content, thinking about how you collect information from people, and then subsequently deliver that information to people as well. So that's the kind of stuff I'm hoping to do. Again, all of you have my email address. Don't hesitate to reach out to me and say, hey, this is an interesting topic. I'd like to learn more about this kind of thing. And then kind of to close up with that thought process, the support options. So as always, we really encourage you to reach out to our support email address there, the cms-support@doit.wis.edu. I guess I haven't looked if Dan is on this call or not, but many of you have had the opportunity to work with Dan Ibarra, he works with the help desk, but he is an embedded agent with us now, and he is starting to do quite a bit more with us, and he is starting to become very involved with the support and the Q&A that comes in to the support email address there. And so you will likely see his name a bit more as you are working with us moving forward. We're very excited to have him because he has a lot of insight just from the help desk side of things and from customer engagement and client engagement that we hope to continue to have. The community of practice email down there as well. I've seen a few of those emails go out. It is a great resource because there are a lot of different levels of expertise in that. Some of the folks in there they're just basic WiscWeb users who, they just have insight into some of the way that they deliver content. There's some more power users, and Meg's been chatting in there, and I'll just point out Meg is someone who has been around us for a long time, who's been around the WiscWeb, the WordPress, the campus website community for a long time. She's had a lot of great suggestions when people have had questions in the past. So there is expertise on that list that I would encourage you to tap into if you have questions about how people do things and how they sort of approach design and things of that nature. So, and then lastly, Microsoft Teams. I wouldn't encourage you to reach out to all of our team whenever you have questions. I would encourage you whenever you have a question or a concern or need to ask how to do something, I'm more than happy for you to reach out to me, and if I can answer it, I will try to. If I can't, I will encourage you to create a ticket so that we can troubleshoot it as a team. But if you've seen in my email, it has a link in there to chat with me via Teams. You can just look me up in Teams as well and reach out. A lot of people do that. It's never a burden. Never never think that you're a burden by asking a question for something that you don't know. It's never a bad thing, because I would rather you ask the question than sit there frustrated not knowing the answer. And I might not have the answer, but I will work to get to the answer as best I can. So Teams is another way you can reach out to me whenever you want. So that puts us at 12:41. I will yield the floor to questions as they come in on the side, and Jenna, Phil, anybody else on the team that want to just kind of throw in some thoughts. Or say hi. Does WAMS provide custom WP theme development as part of their service offerings?
No, so they don't do. They don't develop in PHP. However, what they can do is they can create like another site that is skinned to look like your site that you can link out to. A good example is Matt. Can you bring up like the Weissman directory thing?
What's the URL?
Weissman.
Oh, just Wiseman.wisc? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
when you said directory, I thought it was a particular site.
Sorry.
Oh, I always forget. Sorry, it's W.
Up in the top right, there's like I think it's directories. They have some functionality.
Yeah.
Why am I not able to get to that site?
www.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Remember, they're on their own directory out there.
Yes. Okay, so if you click on directory, they've got this. It looks like the site, but it's functionality that I believe WAMS built and then was what they call skinned to look like the rest of the site. So they build it out so that the fonts, the colors, the styles in general look like the main site. They'll even have the top level navigation look like it. But really the core technology is not in WordPress. It's built entirely separate. So that's what they do.
So WAMS is also a group we work with often when you have like a storefront site. Since WiscWeb proper can't do an e-commerce site, what we'll do is we'll work with WAMS, and they will create the e-commerce sort of front end about it, and then they'll make it look like it. It'll be hosted somewhere, etc. And it'll all basically be a part of your site, yet it's not. It's hosted somewhere else. So I guess do it proper. I don't want to speak too broadly, but to my knowledge, we don't have specific developers that are available to do custom development to it. That's not to say that you can't engage with us and we can see if we can find some time amongst all the do it developers. But again, same idea as what I was talking about earlier. It's a time thing. Our developers are busy doing lots of different things, and a lot of times we unfortunately have to say no. So let's see. I don't know, any other thoughts by the team? There's lots of chats going, so I'm glad for that. But
Matt, I'm just gonna. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I added a link for those who are interested in sort of like an e-commerce storefront. There is documentation in our KB on how to get started on that and work with the WAMS group.
Mm-hmm.
And then Meg did ask a question about, well, she kind of noted that her department has a bunch of lab sites and interested in feedback on how they can kind of move those in. I think if anyone is interested in connecting with Meg, let us know. We can put you in touch. Otherwise, Meg, if those, let's see, many are not. Okay, so if a site is created with WordPress, we can export the site via XML and import it in. It's not 100% migration, but it gets a lot of the content, so that would make it significantly easier for those users. Cheryl asked, what is WAMS? WAMS stands for Web and Mobile Solutions. It's a team, Michael answered just now, team with them do it that does different types of sort of different from the kinds of things that we do, but we partner with them on certain things like the storefronts and other kinds of custom development.
Yeah, they do more, I guess, application building, so interaction rather than like actual front end you know, usability and visibility kind of thing. I don't know. I don't really speak developer, so the developers are trying though. I can push buttons at least.
They're great to work with.
Yeah.
I think they're awesome people. We really like them.
Is there a way to display a PDF on a site in a more viewer-friendly way? I know that SSC does do some things. I would have to look at what they do from an accessibility standpoint, not only from a accessibility standpoint for users, but also like browsers and things like that. Viewer-friendly does not always mean right. Sometimes those things might not work across all browsers. They might not work across all mobile devices. They might not work for visual disabilities, which is one of the reasons why we just kind of let this be the way it is. So each browser has its own its own way to display PDFs. So like Firefox has an extension, Chrome has an extension. I'm assuming Safari also has an extension. You click on it, it can open it in the window that you're in, or it can download it locally, and you can view it via Adobe Acrobat. So those would be the types of things where I would look at doing things via code. I guess David or Scott, maybe you want to throw in here as well, but this is one of those things where I would say just because it can be done doesn't always mean it should be done.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. I think in most cases it'd probably be better to potentially just link off to the document itself and make sure that people are aware that that's a PDF link. And then, write content around that link to describe what you're actually sending folks to. Yeah, having embedded PDFs in a page often causes accessibility issues. It can really screw up the flow of a page sometimes by putting another, box in the middle of the page that also has a scrollable zone.
Yeah, I would worry about loading times as well if it's a very large PDF that's trying to load in a section of the page as well. So, I mean, again, you can hear like, it's not that we want to say no, it's just that there's a lot of things to consider other than just I want to show a PDF. It's just that whole like it's making sure that it works right with the website, etc.
Yeah. And I think another question to ask too is what information does the PDF show that you can't display on the website?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Like if it's something that you need people to have, so Phil actually just chatted this as well. Does it need to be a PDF? Can you take that content from, and we see this with Word documents as well, or Excel spreadsheets where you're just like, here, download this. Couldn't you just deliver that content via a page, via the information on the page itself as well? And actually, it's an interesting thought, because I've had this conversation with folks when they have PDF forms that they want people to be able to download, fill out, and send back. My question is, why not just create the gravity form and capture that information via a web form instead of adding 2 or 3 steps to the process? So. So. 12:51. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, critiques? I'm glad the quality was much better this time around than the last time around. What's that? Okay, I will wrap us up there. And we thank you all for attending. This was a very well attended Lunch and Learn. I'm glad you all were able to join us. If you have questions, we have the contact information up there. Like I said, all of you probably know how to get in touch with me. If you want to get in touch with the team in general, go ahead and email the support email right there. But I guess we look forward to working with you all, keeping on going into the future, and I guess stay safe and stay sane. I think everybody's feeling the stress and the drain of everything going on, and so, if you ever want to just chat, I'll chat about Cubs or video games or stuff. But that's that. I will end the stream there. Thank you all for coming, and we will hopefully talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone.